Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com editor-in-chief, Ryan Satin. I'm here with my co-host, Jamie Iovine.
Hey, everybody.
And my other co-host, Elijah Bates. He's back.
Hello. Welcome back.
I missed you last week.
Yeah, I missed you guys.
Myself.
Welcome back, Elijah. And by that, I mean me.
Yes, Jamie, to answer your question that you just asked me as we were going, or whoever just asked me, I think it was actually Eli who asked me. Like I was telling you guys before we went on air, Jamie has like all these really cool play sets at his desk, and so when I went to the store, they only had like a limited amount of things to get, and so I had to get the entrance theme Bobby Roode, which I didn't love, and like Jamie showed, it only plays like 2 seconds of the song.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even finish the whole sentence.
I mean, they could at least finish that little part right there.
And then this Ambrose Asylum interview, which
Click.
That everybody obviously remembers.
Yeah.
Is that when there was Mitch, right?
Yeah.
Should I put this potted plant next to them too to feel more realistic?
By the way, Luke Crate, my Mitch that I got in my first Slam Crate never grew.
Well,
couldn't grow that damn thing for the life of me.
That's why you should be getting Pro Wrestling Crate. They are much better. For those of you who are watching on video, check over to the video section of the Wrestling Sheet YouTube channel. I just did an unboxing of this month's Big in Japan crate. Some good stuff in there. And same for you guys listening audio-wise. Check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Wrestling Sheet. Bunch of stuff on there. You can watch Wrestling Sheet Radio, this show every week. You can watch the recaps that I'm doing with Roka about Raw and Smackdown every week.
You're like a real TV star now. Actually, wait, you were a real TV star. Now you're a digital star.
Yeah, I was on TV for 5 years. Now I'm just on like a YouTube
Tom
channel.
Green now.
Hey, you know what though?
Used to be great.
It could be worse. You could be Glenn Humplick.
I guess so. Remember when Tom posted Glenn's number to Times Square?
Yes.
I'll never forget that when he was said he was going to reveal one number at a time each
Think
episode,
about-
but then he showed it
Poor
on the
Glenn
glass
Humble.
window.
But when we're gonna tell our kids about stuff like that, they'll be like, it's so foreign to them because they're like, God, you had to go through those lengths to make sure everybody saw it. Whereas nowadays, he could have just tweeted it.
Yeah.
And everybody would-
That would have been. God, imagine if that happened now and his number was tweeted to the public like that. Oh man! But also, you know what's crap about it is now it probably wouldn't be as shitty because you just get your number changed or whatever. You know, and I know you could do the same thing back then, but it was like, I'm pretty sure if I recall, it was like his parents' house phone number.
Yeah.
So it was a lot different back then.
I lost my credit card for a spell the other day, and it was like, do you want to wait 15 minutes for the parking attendant to get here? And I was like, no, I'll just leave and get a new credit card sent to me. It's like times have changed.
I think we needed to hear the first part of that story. I didn't because I didn't get where you get like the credit. I didn't get the parking lot part. I didn't know where that came from.
I was in a parking lot.
Yeah, I was like, what?
I was a little confused myself as well.
Look, sorry. I've been gone a week. I'm a little rusty, okay?
Well, you have kept up with wrestling this week, though,
Absolutely.
right? So
I watched SummerSlam.
Did you watch Raw, SmackDown?
I did.
Okay, cool. So I already talked about it on the SmackDown recap show with Roka, but because I am so on the other side of this Becky Lynch heel turn thing, and I was tweeting about it like I tend to do too much about things.
Of course. It's what we love about you.
So obviously my mentions now the past 24 hours or whatever have just been filled with people telling me how stupid I am for thinking that for enjoying.
Well,
Becky
it's
Lynch
like
heel
you're
turn.
on the same side as Road Dogg now.
Yeah, so now I'm the enemy.
Like you're the new
Man.
Mr. Ass.
I'm just saying you're not doing yourself any favors
Like,
with your haters.
hey, Ryan has been
you and Road Dogg vehemently agreeing with each other
This
on a
dude-
daily basis.
this dude
No,
is-
wait, not on a daily basis, just on this topic.
Hey.
Normally, Road Dogg replies to me telling me that he doesn't agree with me. This is one of the first times where he does.
Every single time now that I see you and Road Dogg together, I'm only going to see you as Billy Gunn. Like you've been lauding like the virtues of Billy Gunn for the entirety of this show, and now you are kind of him.
I mean, I don't quite have his muscles.
No,
And
yet.
There's not a lot of people in this world that can legitimately say that they had the highest paid actor in the world right now kiss his bare ass.
That's very true.
It's not many people can say that.
No, it's not.
Speaking of The Rock and Billy Gunn, did you see?
What?
I'm just saying that's. I mean, if that's not Hall of Fame worthy, I don't know what is.
True.
Just to back up Ryan's
Yeah.
previous statements about his campaign for Billy
At
Gunn.
least Cauliflower Alley Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Do you guys follow that account Billy Gunn Facts on
Yes.
Twitter? Oh, you do, Jamie?
I just started.
No,
because
is there
of
a fact?
retweet?
Is there-
It's
because
like
of my retweet the other day?
it's an account that just makes up random.
Wait, read
statistics
me
on
one.
Billy Gunn.
Okay, so like
Read
for,
me one,
for
boy.
the one that Jamie's talking about that got him to follow Billy Gunn Fact is it said they tweeted this week and said Dwayne Johnson at The Rock only had $7 to his name and was gonna quit the wrestling business until real Billy Gunn put him over at SummerSlam 1999 and made him a superstar. Brendan Fraser was also in attendance that night. and then Billy Gunn quote tweeted and said, I don't know if that's true.
Wait, about Brendan Fraser?
But the whole thing.
Well, the whole he didn't know if Brendan Fraser was there or not, but I mean he did put over The Rock.
He did.
It did happen.
I like this one too. Some people think Roman Reigns sucks. Some people think Roman Reigns is the best. Everyone knows that Billy Gunn won the 1999 King of the Ring.
By the way, I was reading a review of the 1999 King of the Ring the other day, and I bought it, I remember, on pay-per-view back in 1999.
Yep.
And I, reading the review of it, I was like, was this show really that bad? Like, it sounds like an awful show.
There's a lot of stuff when you go back. Attitude Era as a whole, I'm going to get vilified on Twitter, is just that Attitude Era and as a whole was, when you look back on it, wasn't as great as we all
Who's
thought.
going to vilify you for that?
I mean, there are plenty of people.
No,
online.
that's the general consensus. Like, as much as we enjoyed it, oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Well, we enjoyed it because, like, that was the era where, like, Crash TV was like
Trash
kind
TV
of.
was okay too.
But the thing was, is like all of us were just like, oh man, can you believe on this talk show people are throwing chairs at each other and swearing and having each other's babies and not being the father? And so it was kind of just one of those things where we're just like, wow, it's falling in wrestling now, and it is awesome. And I was also like, oh, like at that kind of point where my voice had just changed, so everything they were doing was just groundbreaking.
I think most people our age loved the Attitude Era. The wrestling fans loved the Attitude Era. And when you go back and watch it, you go like, oh, wasn't that really that good?
Yeah, it's not
like if you go back and watch I remember a couple of years ago, I just went back and watched. I just started
you were on a roll.
Every Raw, like just keep it going in the background, and man, I found myself fast forwarding through.
Yeah,
there's like where one time there's a Kai and Tai versus Steve Blackman and Al Snow tag team match. Where there's also another time is a Golga match.
I would say
it's
like the
God,
Truth Commission was like just bored me to tears. And I know that there's probably a lot of people have like a lot of love for this dude, but I hated Midian so much back in the day.
I didn't get
Naked Midian?
I hated all Midian.
Every Midian didn't do it for
Midian.
Every single
Every
Midian
or Phineas.
Phineas, yeah.
Yeah.
Phineas.
What's weird is I wouldn't say that I liked Midian ever. For some reason, I always used him in the video game.
No, but when I played No Mercy, like Midian was like my whipping boy. I would just go to town on him. It's like set him up for the 3D.
The coolest thing they ever did with Midian, and people are really torn about the whole Ministry of Darkness. I was a fan of the Ministry of Darkness. I thought it was something different.
It was scary.
I thought it was.
Wait, real fast. I love that Jamie thinks that camera over there is filming him because he keeps looking in it. As if he's
I'm
looking
sorry,
at the
it's
people.
myself. I'm looking at myself. I can see myself.
But I just saw him do like a to camera move.
I'm gonna turn it around, but I'm gonna kick a cord. So I'm not going to.
Sorry, let's get back on topic here.
Yeah.
Though. I want to get back to
News of the week.
I had a point.
Okay,
sure.
sorry. Go.
I don't know it now.
I'm sorry. It made me laugh so much because
I'm sure it was very.
Is what you liked about Midian.
Only because we have this one camera here, so it's gonna look so funny.
Yeah, the one
when
thing
whoever's watching on video watches you do a camera move to the wrong camera.
But
Midian.
Yeah,
sorry.
I love the sacrifice segment they did.
Yeah,
like where they literally look like that shit freaked me out.
It freaked me out too.
It looked like they were really cutting into him.
My dad was like a big time Christian at the time. He still is, but like I was always afraid that he was going to make me turn it off because it was like so occult and dark and satanic. He was satanic.
In tongues.
Like the Undertaker was like satanic at worst, at best. He was satanic.
All right, let's get back on topic here.
Hey,
we have drastically gotten away.
As you know, most podcasts open with banter.
Yeah.
Okay?
To 2018.
We're not pushing Blue Chew, all right? Like at least there's that.
I get that, but we used to open the show with banter, and I used to get so many complaints from people that were like, "Hey, can you guys at least get into the topic before you stray off the topic?"
All right, get on to the topic so we can veer off of it.
On the topic.
Nobody
here.
wants us to have any fun.
I didn't say not to have any fun. Jamie's so sensitive this week.
Hey, get into the topic. I'm waiting for you.
let's talk about Becky Lynch's heel turn.
Okay.
I want to hear what you guys think. Obviously, you guys saw what I thought. Jamie,
I'm afraid to touch this thing.
Don't touch it. Yeah. Jamie, what did you? Where are you in all of this? Because you saw my tweets of Road Dogg. Clearly you're.
Well, I was there when it happened.
Oh yeah, you were there when it happened.
And that was a loud reaction.
Were you a booer or a cheerer?
I think I was a cheer just because everybody else was.
Yeah.
Like everybody was really
I think the proper term is ovator. Like you're ovating.
Yeah, it was
that
more
doesn't sound right.
I think people aren't.
I'm ovating this month.
I don't think. See, here's the thing. When there live, huge reaction, people were hyped, and I don't think people are doing it to hijack the segment. I don't think they're doing it just to go against the grain. And whereas where they want everybody to cheer Roman, they're going to boo them. Whereas where everybody wants to cheer Becky Lynch, they're going to cheer her. I don't think that's the same thing. I think they were really just hyped on the fact that they're giving her something to do. Yeah. This woman was losing all the time this year, and she wasn't doing anything.
She's a major afterthought.
And people knew that this heel turn result is going to be something for her to do. Maybe even put her back in the title picture again.
Yeah.
And
it's clearly putting her back in the title picture.
She is. I'm saying when they were thinking about it. And yes, I just don't. I'm having a hard time it was kind of interesting to see because I thought maybe that was just the initial. Because you don't get consistent reactions with something like that because you can't because every night's different, every crowd's different,
especially in a place like Brooklyn,
especially in New York where it's backwards,
where people are traveling from out of town too.
Yeah, but so when it first happened, I was like, okay, people thought it was great and they wanted her to turn on her, but then let's see what happens. And then fast forward 2 days later, where they had a whole day to kind of sit on it.
Still in Brooklyn though.
Still in Brooklyn. And I wasn't at this one. I saw this one on TV, and they really hijacked that promo.
Like, so you felt like it took too far at that point?
That point, yes. For the whole SummerSlam thing, that's just
that's just the excitement of it.
That's pay-per-view energy.
Yes, because I'm with you on that. Like, at this point, I'm fully with you because I understood the cheering. When it happened, obviously, everyone was excited that they're doing something with Becky.
It's also different too. Like I think a lot of people get excited whenever something different or out of the ordinary kind of happens.
People are tweeting me like turning Becky heel is similar to Daniel Bryan, or that Becky was on the level of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock or something like that, and that she was getting these like massive pops. Because I keep seeing this could be she was like a Stone Cold Becky. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? She wasn't getting used barely.
Yeah,
she wasn't getting that big of reactions.
That's like thinking and living in a silo and like your own imagination. Basically, it's like to compare her to either of those guys is erroneous at best.
I mean, time will tell.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah,
but I also wasn't really a fan of her promo, and not the delivery, not the way she said it, because that was all fine. I don't like what they had her say. That the whole, you guys were cheering me, but where was the boycott? Where was the boycott when they weren't giving me title shots? I was like, when did they ever do that for anybody? And it was such a weird reason for her to turn heel. It wasn't good enough for me.
Well, but I look at it like this, and I agree. It
was a cop-out to me.
I agree in the sense that, yes, obviously the fans were behind Becky the whole time.
Yeah, her reasoning, like her explanation as to why she doesn't feel the fans were supporting her. It was like, oh, so you want she wanted more than any fan has given to anybody.
But to me, though, when you look at it, like that's what villains do. Like villains always think that the whole world should have stopped for them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of the key characteristics of a villain is being so self-centered that they don't look at reason. And I think that that's what they were trying to get across. That's how I took it. Because, I mean, for those of you guys who have been watching or listening to the Smackdown recap shows, to me, they have been clearly setting this up for a few weeks now, maybe even longer than that. I mean, this was all, to me, a setup to get to Becky's heel turn because
we're not
arguing.
Well, they're not.
It would have been.
They're not
the same thing that we've seen this whole time.
They're clearly not going to build her up as like the number one face on either show at this point because they've got a game plan. They've got an end game that they're clearly like playing into right now.
Also, what bothered me a lot about that segment was how she ran at the end. She's never telegraphed anything about herself being a heel, cowardly heel
But I think that's
at all.
why she did that, because the whole point is that she has realized that what she was doing wasn't working, so now she's trying to play it smarter. Like, she's not trying to be someone who's just gonna throw punches with someone. She's like, hey, I'm gonna be smarter. Because I listened to her gorilla position interview. She did an interview with a podcast or website or whatever called Gorilla Position, and they do tons of WWE interviews, and it sounds like they recorded it before, like, or maybe on, like, it sounds like they recorded it before the heel turn, but they released it after. And she's like, it's all about her heel turn, and it's all about how, like, she's like, what, was I not enhanced enough? Was I not blonde enough? And I don't know, like, to me, all those motivations made sense. She was like, look, I'm done doing what I did.
TV, though.
I thought we did. I mean, she ran away. She said she wasn't, that the fans weren't there for her. I mean, she did.
But they were.
She did all. But bad guys don't see that.
Yeah.
Am I crazy am I wrong for thinking that? Like for example, The Rock. When The Rock joined the corporation, the people were behind him. He was the fucking people's champ.
No, but when he said, do you think The Rock forgot about Die, Rocky, Die? That's when he said that. It's different. They never said anything like that to Becky. They never did.
So she had to have had one. But
that wasn't one thing. They did that for months.
Yeah, but I look at it like this. Like, to me,
I just think there was a lot of inconsistencies in who she is. Because to me, the attack that she did on Charlotte at SummerSlam doesn't match up with somebody who would run at the first sign of a fight. That what she did on Tuesday looked a lot like what Carmella would do.
Well, but she did a cowardice move to do the heel turn as it was, so why wouldn't that fall in line with another cowardice move? I mean, she hugged her best friend and congratulated her and then beat her up behind her back.
She ran after 2 minutes of physicality, as opposed to why didn't she run the minute Charlotte darted to the ring? Because where that does happen, where people powder all the time, just immediately out, so they can't get to
I think, like,
it doesn't make sense to me.
If the disdain comes from anywhere, I just think that it's because, like, they've kind of been spinning their wheels with Becky for a long time.
See, I think the disdain comes from, at least, and tell me if I'm wrong, the disdain comes from people are mad that it's a reverse Roman Reigns situation almost. They're mad that Charlotte is being pushed as the face again, and so they're booing because they're mad about that. It's not because Becky. It's not about Becky.
I can agree with that, but I would also suggest that the trope that they're putting Becky into in some ways is something that they've done with maybe a lot of people. Like it is kind of a classic heel move. And I think that maybe, sometimes I think fans are tired of some of those classic trips. I understand it's pro wrestling, this is how it works. But I think maybe like that combined with like the Charlotte aspect, because I do agree with you that there's probably, a lack of enthusiasm towards the idea of Charlotte being on top again. But I think that people are just like maybe wanted something new if they were going to get it with Becky and not kind of some like same old heel routine, because like she's been spinning her wheels for a long time.
Isn't this something new?
Not really, though.
I mean,
the reason why I guess I wasn't able to like really find all that much meat on the bone, like so to speak, about the topic is because I didn't take it that seriously. Like, I mean, not the sense that like what the whole angle. I think the angle is going to be fine. I think they're going to have great matches together. It's just people are really diving deep into this heel turn at an interesting rate, because I think that they're. I think they're getting too deep into
like
it.
overthinking it.
Yeah, I think they're way
especially from one day.
Yeah,
like it's only been one show. Like it's literally like saying this book is fucking trash after reading the first 5 pages.
I don't know why, compared to every other heel turn that's happened, that they're focusing on this one. Like they're acting like this is like the first heel turn that didn't go exactly to plan.
Right?
They
like what are some of the suggestions that they've made as to what they should have done? Are they people like
every single one is like, we should have had anti-hero Becky. Every single one. We should have had the same exact thing, but Becky wins the title and also gets an edge. And it's like, that's not how storytelling works.
Yeah,
like,
and that's not what they're building to either.
And they've been building, to me, when I look at it, I see the way I viewed the story when I was watching it was Becky has been overlooked a bunch. Becky then wrestled against, got an opportunity for a title match. Her friend came back from injury, who is very successful, who is the most
and got pushed to the front of the line,
most winningest person. So it would make sense for a GM
like
to put
No, don't get me wrong. The build up where they were going with this, the whole Becky being passive aggressive is all fuck. Like, because that's really what she was. She was just super passive aggressive, and I like that. I liked it where it was going. It's just that, and of course, it was only one promo. We have a whole few weeks to build this up. In her first outgoing, and this is not her fault. This is just something that the writers or producers, whoever was in charge of that, she didn't say anything that made me feel, okay, this is heel Becky Lynch.
Even when she put down the fans?
No, because like Eli pointed out, it is something that could be copy and pasted to any heel turn. Any of them.
I on a general note too, I think it would be
because you weren't there when I was getting placed on the card. How many times have we heard?
I think it would behoove WWE, and I understand the cost-effective nature of staying in the same building, but I think it would behoove them to not have the same crowd there for
4 nights in a row.
Yeah, like just because it's like by the time you get to SmackDown, people are like burnt out, they're tired, they're cynical, been drunk maybe for a couple of days. Like they're not necessarily. I mean, I've been to these before. I know how it goes.
I like how you're explaining your WrestleMania.
No, but just like the thing is that by the time you get there, you're just like, bro,
you're just
you don't
know where you are.
No, you're so ready to go home, and if you don't think you are, you need to trust whoever is around you when they say you need to leave.
I love wrestling so much, and even I've said on the recap show, like on SmackDown, by the time SmackDown came around, I got home, I left my normal time here to get home, and I literally I sat down on the couch to watch SmackDown, and I physically couldn't do it. I was like, man, I have watched 15 hours of wrestling right now. I am done at this point.
Right, collectively, me and you have gotten more than enough opportunities to do that week. To do the pay-per-view, NXT, pay-per-view, Raw, SmackDown, 205.
I've never done it. I've never done it to
SmackDown. We've been given opportunities to do that.
I haven't had. I don't think I've had the opportunity for I have had once, and I didn't do SmackDown. To be honest with you, I would have done SmackDown when I was there for WrestleMania, but my dad was all like, I'll go home
never had the desire to do that.
Yeah,
no,
you don't even go to TakeOver when you have like a long pay-per-view like that.
Hey, that's a lot.
It's a lot,
hey,
man.
doing when I went to WrestleMania week and going to the Hall of Fame, which in itself is just exhausting.
Yeah,
this was the first.
I've cut out Hall of Fame from my WrestleMania.
No, I would like it's. I will never go to the Hall of Fame
ever again. I've cut it out. I'll watch it
I
at
went
home.
once, worked it once, and I was like, this is 2 times more than I should have.
I mean, maybe if you take a hallucinogen or something like that before you go in. Don't recommend it, of course.
Okay, well, moving topics here. I want to talk about another thing that happened this week because I forgot to bring this up on our Raw recap show with me and Roka, and that is Kurt Angle going on a hiatus storyline
unceremoniously as well.
Yeah.
Very, right?
Yeah.
Like now, the only way you would have known is on his Instagram.
I'm surprised it wasn't just like.
Well, they said it on the show too.
They said that he was taking a leave.
Yeah, because when you texted me, I was confused because
I didn't see it on the show.
It was that there was like a backstage segment where it was Stephanie, Kurt, and Alexa Bliss and Baron Corbin.
It was very like short, and like not non-ceremonious whatsoever.
And considering you watched about 15 hours of wrestling, you're allowed to miss one segment. Like I think I had 1 or 2.
Because that's why when I saw it on his Instagram, I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, because Jamie sent it to me like in a text message, like as if it was breaking news, and I was like, thinking about like, this was on Raw last night. What was he talking? Like, why is he freaking out?
No, but I mean, it was about like
Now I get why you were more like tripping out about it. So,
it was given the prominence of like a WWE.com exclusive or something like that.
Yeah, it was literally just like a quick like, you know what, Kurt, I think you need to like get some vacation time, and he was like, no, I don't need any vacation time, and she was like, no, you're not fired, you're not suspended, but like, you just need to go home for a while and get some rest. And he was like, okay.
What employee would ever refuse? You need some vacation time.
I know, right?
No, I don't want it.
I need to begin every pre-tape I do looking at my phone for a few more months.
Someone very close to me was coming to the
That's
end.
literally how every single backstage segment starts.
You're
he's
right,
looking at his phone.
He's always like so perplexed by his cell phone. It's as if like the cell phone is magic to him, and he's always like, oh.
Every time.
No, someone who's close to me did pull the Kurt Angle and I was like, what are you doing? They knew that they were going to be done with work in like, I think it was like 3 weeks, and they had sick days, and it was their birthday, and they went to work, and I was like, why would you do that? You have sick days, like
use them all.
And they were like, well, I didn't want to like call and say like I don't really do that, and I was like, you have sick
days.
They're
there. You're like
they're going to pay you back those days anyways. Like just take it. And then it was like, well, it's like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are they gonna? Are they gonna fire you? If they fire you you then get to go on unemployment instead of quitting your job, which you're quitting your job anyways in a week.
And they give you a severance.
And then when the person put the 2 weeks in, Then they were like, well, if you want, like, because they needed to train someone.
Yeah.
They were like, it's only going to take a week to train, but if you want, you can work the second week, too, because they had to, like, stay for their 2 weeks. And the person was like, oh, okay.
Why? Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Idiot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
He's
out.
Eli, what do you think? Do you think Angle had run its course? Do you think it was time for Angle to not be GM anymore?
I feel like they haven't really done anything with it, like of prominence lately. Like I would definitely say I don't feel like they've done anything of note truly with Kurt Angle as GM.
He has been kind of a lackluster GM.
It's just he's just kind of there to fill the role. It's like, hey, we inducted you in the Hall of Fame, and now you're going to be the GM for a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, every time he was put in any sort of match or angle whatsoever, he was sort of like an afterthought. I mean, whether it be the Shield time, when he was an honorary Shield member, they had to do that because half the roster was sick. And when it was WrestleMania, he was like, "Oh, like we need somebody to help protect Ronda in her first match, and let's put it with Kurt." You know?
Yeah.
And they got they were able to kill two birds with one stone that way.
I just feel like Kurt Angle's not good at reading off dialogue either.
Which is confusing because he was so charismatic
back
in the day.
I think it's because
it's just different.
Well, the difference maker though is that when you have like Kurt Angle feeds off the crowd, but when you have him largely talking backstage, trying to be emphatic about some point he's trying to make, when he's clearly just getting around to whatever sharp one-liner that some writer had written and everything like that, it's the same way that I feel about a lot of people. It's just like when you can tell that they're reading it, it doesn't feel authentic to the personality, and that's the way I felt about Kurt Angle's whole GM thing. It's like Kurt Angle is not somebody I would trust to be in charge of anything.
Well, and also I think it's
nothing personal in saying that, but
when you're in a position like that, like someone like Kurt Angle, who for so long, Kurt Angle's point of being in a segment like that was to get Kurt Angle over.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes it is hard to switch the other side of it. And like Kurt Angle wasn't there to get Kurt Angle over. Kurt Angle was there to get other people over.
I just feel like
kind of be the straight man.
Kurt Angle's got like such a thick head from like this is the best way I can put this. Dude has taken a lot of beatings.
Yeah.
And he's got a real thick head. And he's not somebody I would look to for sharp, witty one-liners. And when you kind of put him in a position to have to get around to some sharp point and everything, I feel like there's a dull edge to it. Yeah. And I felt like that almost his entire GM hood or whatever you want to call it, his entire tenure as GM.
I mean, the reason why he's there right now, and the reason why he gets all the reactions he gets still, because he still gets a strong reaction every time that music hits, is because people genuinely like Kurt.
Yes.
Like they like him as a person. They like.
Well, he's a legendary character. Yes, I mean, he's going to go down in WWE history.
So no matter when he comes out, he's going to get the "you suck" chance. He's going to get a pop, and people love him. People love Kurt because he's funny. Like he's goofy Kurt. But like when you come from a line of GMs being so heavily involved in whatever aspect, whether it be the anonymous one, whether it be the authority, whether it be Paige, Shane, so on and so forth, Paige is kind of taken the level of involvement that Kurt has. She's not directly involved with any specific storyline, but she serves a purpose in storytelling. Same with Kurt. But to me, this almost seems like they're kind of shying away from the whole GM heavily influenced a character. That a character, because back in the day, even going all the way just as recently as like 2014, they were almost the driving forces behind the entire show.
Yeah.
And some people didn't like that.
Yeah.
Some people were getting sick of the fact that every single aspect of Raw somehow involved Triple H or Stephanie McMahon.
Well, and I also think that this Constable role has helped maybe them see, not necessarily, because obviously the Constable is a heel GM still technically, but I do think that the slight wrinkle in him also wrestling does, as much as I don't love it, it does feel different than the regular GM who, is strictly an office talking head or whatever. So, him going away, Baron Corbin has been entertaining in the backstage roles, the backstage segments as the Constable. At least
did you ever think that you would say something like that?
No, never.
It's just that if you really strip down the GM role to its nuts and bolts, other than some funny backstage segments, what else are they really for other than coming out when two groups of people are about to fight, but then they make it a fight?
Well, they serve as a good storyline. They serve as a good.
Do you think that they
part of the storyline to help solidify things?
Do you think
this match is official? That match, that kind of. But I agree with you.
Do you think that they've had a character Okay, do you think they've had a character like a GM involved for so long that they could ever have the show without a GM or without a central leader character like that?
It depends on how much they would reoccur.
It really feels like now they've kind of engineered these shows to where it requires a role like that. Whereas back in the day, and I'm saying back in the day before, like the Attitude Era, for instance, you really didn't have an authority figure showing up.
Well,
right?
Jack Tunney showed up like once every
every now and then,
Yeah.
but it was almost just like, well, the world of wrestling just took place, and you trusted that there were people that were putting it on, and that there were rules and stuff like that. I'm just curious if like the show, if they think that the show would be too boring with or illogical without a role like that.
You're better with wrestling history than me. Can you remember the last time WWE or F didn't have an authority figure on one of the shows?
I mean, I feel like they
always had commissioners.
They had Jack Tunney, but who was very non-existent through 94, 95, who was replaced, I believe, by Gorilla Monsoon, who was replaced interim by Roddy Piper, who was replaced, I believe, and maybe Monsoon came back, and then they made it Sergeant Slaughter. And then once Mr. McMahon kind of came, and then, like Shawn Michaels and others took over that role over the period of time. But then you had like the Mr. McMahon character, and you realized that that role was meaningless. You know, that it was really, because it was really Mr. McMahon was the boss. And I guess like since then it's kind of become something. And you know, and I know
but
they
has since Vince, and you might, Jimmy, you're good with this kind of stuff too. Like since Vince became the boss, has there ever been a time where the shows didn't have some kind of boss?
I don't think so.
No, because I'm really going up to I mean, it goes all the way to Vince, then it goes to the corporation, then the corporate ministry, then when Shane ran it, and then it goes to when Linda ran it.
Even if you go past all that, and then all of a sudden,
That's good
like
you got that deep though.
But
I like that you
and
got
then
that
Austin,
deep in the
but
management.
if you recall, then they went down and they were like, okay, well now Ric Flair's going to be one, Mr. McMahon is going to run one,
and then they split the brands.
McMahon like brings Bischoff in, and then you know like Stephanie McMahon was in charge of SmackDown at that point, so they've really had a succession.
Can you keep it going? I'm just wondering.
The brand split is what really solidified the whole position of power.
Because you had to have someone.
Because they had like SmackDown went Stephanie, and then it might have gone Kurt Angle. It went Paul Heyman for a while. They kind of flip flopped for a little bit. Teddy Long came in after that. I believe
he was there for a while.
He was there for a long time. I can't recall precisely who it was after Teddy Long, but yeah, right. but the thing is like
good. Because this is why you guys are better at trivia.
Well, no, but the whole point of that though is that they have had an ongoing succession of this leader style character on their shows for, I mean, really the entire. I mean, until like because Gorilla Monsoon was a lot more active than was Jack Tunney.
Yes,
that was when the commissioner or the president or whomever whatever their title may have been, that's when it kind of became like an active role on the show. Maybe not as active as like Kurt Angle would be or somebody like that. But I mean, it's been over 20 years that they've had kind of like this role on the show that they've had to fill. So I'm just curious if they can even see the show existing without this kind of character. Because the fact of the matter is, regardless if they need this character or not, people are kind of bored of the commissioner character and have been off and on that entire time.
I agree with you wholeheartedly that I think people are kind of getting tired of it. That's why I think they've kind of regulated them to mostly being back. Like if you really think about like how much in-ring time the GMs have, it's very little nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think that where was I going?
Well, and they've also, while you're thinking of that, they've also kind of like made, because they both have two roles. So they've made the commissioner like the president now, right? Yeah. And then the commissioner is now almost the Jack Tunney, and I feel like you don't necessarily like. I feel like, you know, if the announcers just said Shane McMahon has, you know, said this, that, and that is happening tonight. That's all you would need. Like, you don't have to have them come out and outline it all on the microphone for 20 minutes.
To look at case in point, whether or not you think that, whether or not they think that it's a necessary part of the story, you got to look at the anonymous Raw GM. They literally had nobody as the GM and nobody was a character.
Yeah.
I think that is the only time that you can really kind of say that. But there was still, even though technically there was a GM, it really felt like that's the only time there hasn't been like a real GM.
You know what?
Character.
Was I the only one that thought Michael Cole was a possibility as the anonymous GM?
Oh, I thought it was going to be him.
I
totally thought at the time.
I thought it was just going to be like, yeah.
Remember when Edge was destroying the computer? Right? Cole, help me.
Okay, so one of the reports out there about Kurt Angle is that he is, I think it was PW Insider said that the reason he's going on this hiatus is to train for another match.
Okay.
And I know that, Jamie, you have multiple times on here on this show said that you're disappointed that we really haven't gotten that like
Singles match, Kurt.
Singles match, huge pyro, Kurt, like everything. The Kurt that we want to see. Do you think? Are you hoping that that's what this is the reason for this?
Yes, because time is ticking. Time is ticking.
Yeah.
And I watch that guy. I don't give a shit how much he says that he's the best shape of his life, that he could go a million times after this. Watching him get in and out of that ring, the way he stands.
No, just even like when he backdropped Triple H out of the ring at WrestleMania, I remember thinking like, oof, he is not as strong as he once was.
Yeah, so I just get it done one more time. I don't need a whole like
it's not a run
program. I don't need that. I need one.
What if that one though is Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle?
I'm okay with that.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, I'm okay with that because I don't need WrestleMania 19 Kurt. I don't need that. I saw it.
6-star match Kurt.
I saw it. It's great. I just need him to do some chain German suplexes, an ankle lock, an Olympic slam. I'm good.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense to me. I wonder if the direction they are going is Survivor Series as opposed to WrestleMania, and it's like Team Angle versus Team Corbin, but that also wouldn't necessarily fall in line with like
but that's probably what they're more likely to do than just a one-off match. They put him in that, then they can build anticipation to him being in the Rumble and then him wrestling at WrestleMania or something like that. Like
I hope that's the
like I would assume it'd be more of like a Goldberg series of appearances in terms of his in-ring performance.
I would be super okay with Team Angle versus Team Corbin Survivor Series that then leads to like him versus someone else because of who's on Team Corbin.
It may not be Corbin. It may not be Corbin.
No, I hope the singles match is in Corbin.
It may not be.
I don't think you need to whisper it. I think most people agree with you.
Don't tell Baron Corbin. Don't tell him.
Don't tell the Constable, please.
Don't tell the Constable that I don't want to see him wrestle Kurt Angle in singles.
I know that Vince McMahon must make a constipated Corbin joke backstage all the time.
Yeah, so all right. Let's move topics here a little because we only got a little bit of time left.
Beautiful.
All In 2 was teased by Cody and the Bucks this week on Talk is Jericho. I don't know if
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, right?
I mean, that being said, they haven't had it yet, but I think we can mostly, the only thing that's stopping this from being a huge success is that somehow the matches all suck.
Even then, it was funny because when they were talking about this on Talk is Jericho was even saying like, it doesn't matter what happens. You guys already sold it out. Like, it didn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Like, the event sucks,
No, I'm saying that's the only way people would not want to buy tickets for the following year.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
People, if all the matches sucked, people are so hyped for it that it would never come across as like a crap event.
No.
Like, I mean, people are way too excited for it.
Yeah,
the crowd's gonna be red hot.
So, oh my god, everyone's gonna be so excited. I'm excited. I'm leaving. I thought you were leaving a week from today as well, but I'm leaving a week from tomorrow, or maybe the next day. But
I'll be there.
You'll be there. I hope to see all of you. If you guys see me there, please say hi. I would love to say what's up to all you guys who watch or listen to the show. I'm super pumped about it. For those of you who are maybe going to come to my show at StarCast, our show, the greatest trivia rumble, there has been a slight scheduling change. I'll hopefully be announcing that in the next day or so. Just working everything out. So sit tight. And I'm also going to announce all the people that are going to be on the show as well with me. So sit tight for that. But yeah, so in this interview they did on Talk is Jericho, they basically said that they've tossed around the idea, they've discussed it, but they feel like it has to be just as ambitious as the first in terms of how many seats they sell. They said they kind of said like, would we really do 10,000 again? Would that really be that impressive? Like, I would think we'd have like 15,000, 20,000, something like that.
Up the number.
And then this was recorded in June. This interview. But he mentioned how they want to do Madison. They wouldn't mind doing maybe like Madison Square Garden or something like that. And then kind of later in the episode, Jericho meant, because they said Los Angeles. They were like, we also thought about Los Angeles as well because we really wanted to do the first one in Ontario, but just it didn't work out. And they were like, well, what about Staples? Jericho was like, what about Staples? And then this is kind of like when you could tell they've actually taken it seriously because I believe it was Cody who said like, no, we've maybe had a conversation with Staples and they have a deal with WWE. We can't do it. They can't do anyone else.
Yeah.
But the Forum, on the other hand, let's just say maybe we've talked to the Forum as well. And I was like, oh man,
that'd be sick.
That'd be sick if we get one in LA, All In 2 at the Forum.
That would be.
That's
awesome.
a great. That's that.
I like hearing anytime wrestling comes to LA because it's not. Even though Los Angeles has made strides in making the city a little more wrestling friendly, it's still not. It's not a Chicago.
No.
It's not a New York. It's not. And
it's very LA, and especially like when WWE is in LA, they play that up on a level where it's just like, come on, we all live here.
Yeah,
you don't need to play up the LA.
No, but you know what's funny? I was thinking that same thing this week when because you see like those like indie posters that are like 10 years old or something, and I'll see ones from LA people that are like from 10 years ago, and you'll see guys that are huge now, that were on these indie shows, and I think back, I'm like, man, the LA indie scene really doesn't get like as much love as like all the like other ones. Like we really get kind of like are the redheaded stepchild of the indie wrestling scene.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think that's just because anybody who doesn't live here looks down upon LA with like.
No, I think it's more because of the loop status. Like in the East Coast, there's like there's
so many cities.
A loop of those like people in indies,
like a small area.
Yeah, out here there's like it's just centralized to LA. So if you move to LA, you kind of don't have like a roster of companies that you can switch.
Yeah, that's true.
You have like one or two,
and nothing is close together out here.
No.
Nothing is next to anything.
No.
So like the distances between.
Like if you were going to Vegas, it'd be a mission to go to one of those shows. Like Arizona, Seattle, like all that kind of stuff. Like this is not the ideal loop zone. know? So
truth.
But I would like to see an all-in part 2. I really hope that everything goes like it seems like it's going to go. I mean, the card. Obviously it's fun. It's funny hearing them talk about it on here because they basically said that like it was difficult booking it because of like different companies that are involved because of
I guess they have to protect their characters.
And I guess they had some kind of agreement where, and I'm guessing this was because there was 2 brothers involved, so Cody didn't want to get like screwed out of every decision, but they couldn't. They agreed that they wouldn't do anything unless all 3 of them agreed on it.
Yeah.
So they said that has also posed some problems for them. But yeah, really, I really wanted to bring up All In and Starcast because I wanted to bring up the show, the Starcast show. Please check out Twitter feed. I'll have it out there soon. But I think it's gonna be on Friday instead of Sunday now, as a little heads up. So I'll be giving you guys all that info very soon. Now, another thing, I think the last topic that we have time for here, and that is everything's going on with Matt Hardy. I know, Jamie, this is something that you're pretty bummed about, it seems like, and that is so basically. Right now, it looks like Matt Hardy has a decision to make. His wife, Rebby, was on Busted Open and did an interview and basically said that right now he's in a transitional period. For those of you who follow him on social media, you might notice that during SummerSlam weekend when he wasn't in a match or anything like that, he was all suited up, working backstage. He was posting pictures, and he's been kind of learning the ropes on the production side of things. But so she said that basically he's not really sure what he's doing right now, or what he's going to be doing. That his contract is up in March.
He's been posting a lot of career retrospective posts.
A lot of career retrospective
How old is he?
He's 40.
Early 40s?
I'd say. Because he got started. Remember, he got started.
Yeah, I mean, they were
43.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
I mean,
it sounds like the right time, especially the style they wrestled.
And if what we're hearing about his hip and his pelvis is true, I mean, his pelvis and his, I guess his hips is true.
I think it was like his
pelvis and his spine
or something like that, or like fusing together or something like that.
because of all the leg drops that he's done.
well, think about like how long he's been wrestling, and think about how long somebody like Billy Kidman
since before
wrestled
he was
for.
legal.
I was gonna say,
sure.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
But that's what I mean. It's this like Kidman transitioned over 10 years ago into a role similar to that. I guarantee you Kidman was not 43 whenever he made that transition. And it was likely due to injuries, accumulation of just aggravations and whatnot that takes place over the course of a professional wrestler's career.
Yeah, I mean, 44, Billy Kidman.
Like, okay, so like think about that. Billy Kidman stopped wrestling a long time ago. Billy Kidman and Matt Hardy wrestled maybe not in exactly the same style, but an Impact style that I would say. And how long can Matt Hardy continue to do that? And again, he's getting to a point right now where it's probably, and I've read stories about Jeff Hardy the same way, not doing the Swanton bomb at certain times, like house shows and stuff like that. They're getting to the point where they can't handle the bumps anymore.
Which is for Jeff Hardy doing a Swanton on that.
I know, doing a Swanton.
Yeah, we talked about that on the recap show. We were like, I thought you're like trying to hold back a little bit here. Then you're doing apron spots.
But the thing is that Matt Hardy is ultra intelligent.
The table on Smackdown.
We've all seen Matt Hardy's intelligence intelligence come forth in the latter part of his career especially the last couple of years on a level unlike
Even
any other
early
time.
part of his career. I mean, he was always credited as like the brains behind the Hardy Boys.
I think that I think it would be good for young wrestlers to learn from him because they also saw him in his later years taking chances and doing things that were against the grain. The fact that they got like a Final Deletion or Ultimate Deletion style match, on WWE television is a huge triumph. I think it should be recognized. Like, that's not at all the kind of thing that they would do.
That
or
WWE would take. Well, actually, that's not true. They took the NWO.
But
I was about to say that WWE would never take and feature something that was created.
Like,
on another platform.
but the main point is like, when Vince McMahon, and you always hear about him talking about reaching for that brass ring, Matt Hardy was still reaching for brass rings at the ending stages, or what may be the ending stages of his career.
Well, I mean, even now, he's not sure if he's going to hang it up for that same reason.
I think that I think it would be smart of him. I think that he has a lot to give to other people. I don't think he's going to be put in any layer of any layer of prominence of WWE programming. I would hate to see him become R-Truth or Goldust in the, like, just where they become a parody of who they were previously, and just to the point where it's just cheap pops to the crowd for him to go out and do his couple moves that he does. He can have way more of an impact behind the scenes. He can
make
influence
just as much money.
Exactly, make just as much money, save his body,
more.
And not only that, but like that's not to say too that he can't be brought out for select matches, that he and Jeff Hardy can't be rolled out, not in a wheelchair, of course, but rolled out for like a one-off match or a specialty match or something like that. He can still get that.
I'd love to see him if he does take the producer role, because I mean, we all know Michael Hayes was involved with the Hardy Boys back in the day when he was their manager and stuff. I almost feel like he could become that Michael Hayes role when Michael Hayes gets out of there. You know,
of course, Matt would be nothing but an attribute backstage. Nothing but. Because as you just said, I agree with you wholeheartedly in the sense that Matt is one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling, period.
Absolutely,
He is. And it's just, this is just me being a selfish fan. The biggest part of wrestling I hate is the what ifs. What could have been. Why the fuck didn't Undertaker Sting happen? Ever. It could have happened a few times. And like, for instance, what was gonna like it's
that's
all
on Sting, by the way.
I was literally
it's completely on Sting. It's completely on Sting.
No, I don't want to go to WWE. It's classier programming on TNA. It's like, no, it's not.
It's so funny these days.
It's stuff like that, though. Like, do we want like it's stuff like that? It's like what could have been? Like, what could have been if Undertaker had been for every single part of the Bray Wyatt buildup? That match could have been incredible if they let it like Undertaker Kane style theatrics.
Yeah,
that would have been incredible, but they didn't do that. It's the same thing with the Ultimate Deletion and stuff that they could have done the WWE. We gotta take like I agree. They knocked it out of the park with Final Deletion.
Yeah.
Getting it on the WWE programming is a great thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But even during Matt and Jeff's 24 segment that special they did on the network, Matt even says like this is a great like reintroduction of it. This is a great like reintroduction to the WWE universe, to the Broken Universe. He's like, this is a great kicking off point. There was so much more room for stuff that they could have done with it.
Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart that we got one, whereas TNA got 6 or something like that.
A piece of me is holding out hope that maybe we get like a network special one day where they do another one, but I'm not hold.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, me either. But that being said, kind of putting a bow on what I just said, if they're gonna give Matt a good position as an agent, I say take it. Your family will probably love you for it.
And then to circle back around my Michael Hayes thing, maybe one day Matt can then manage an up-and-coming tag team.
Yeah.
And we can kind of still see him involved in WWE
I hope that they
programming.
do something like that, and then like that tag team was like, he tried to get us to go to Hot Topic. The same way
he said that we should wear this like stretchy, weird stuff.
With
we're
utensils on our jackets.
We're like, no, dude, we want to dress like Takahashi 69, dude.
Yeah.
Weird colors like that.
I'm not even gonna correct you. I'm gonna let.
Well, how do you say it?
Nope.
Takedo 69.
Keep going, buddy. You're doing great.
Takahashi.
You're looking at the wrong person.
Hiromu Takahashi.
Hiroko Saki?
The Shredder's real name.
All right, guys. Well, we got to end here. But for those of you who are watching via video, please go subscribe to the audio feed as well. While you're there, if you enjoy the show, please leave a rating, leave a review. that kind of stuff very much helps us out. And vice versa. If you're listening to the audio feed, please go check out the video on YouTube. Maybe not this one since you already listened to it, but go to youtube.com/c/wrestling sheet. I'm putting up content all the time on there, doing my best to up the video production as best as possible. So please, when you subscribe, it does help us out. When you like the videos, when you share the videos, all of that, it's a big help. It keeps me in business, keeps Collider going. It lets more people know what you're into. Lets more people know about us. So please continue to do that. I can't thank you guys enough who have been doing that so far. Also, while you're here, go check out all the other videos on Collider. They got Collider videos, Collider quick hits, Collider games, Collider sports, all sorts of Collider YouTube channels. They're awesome. There's so much cool content on there. I have to switch back and forth between work and looking at all the cool videos they have on there, because it's like you can get lost in there. There's just so much cool content. If you're a nerd who has kind of different nerd things, like I was saying, that's the place for you. All right, Jamie, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at JAMIE_IOVINE or on Instagram at JAMIEIOVINE. And like you just said, we'll be in Chicago this weekend. So I hope to see you. Or next weekend. Yes, not this one, following one.
But we will not be doing a show next week because I will be traveling on Thursday. So the recaps will be going out as usual, but we won't have Wrestling Sheet Radio next week.
Yeah, would like to come up to me, say hi, talk about stuff with me. It'll be fun in Chicago.
I'm so happy to hear that because I'll be in Mexico next week, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's
that worked
great
out
timing.
perfectly.
Well, where can people find you on the internet in case they want to follow your travels in Mexico?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Elisha Bates, and you can find me on Instagram at Brindlebeard.
And you can find me on the internet. I'm at Ryan Satin. The website is at Wrestling Sheet on all social media. It's ProWrestlingSheet.com, where you can get fact-check news, exclusive reports, all sorts of cool stuff. While I'm in Chicago for All In and for StarCast, I'm going to be posting a bunch of different video content, hopefully on the YouTube channel. So like I said, please go subscribe there. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out. Until next time, stay out of the dirt. Keep your eye on the sheet.